can't tell you how excited I am that Mark and Chase are with us today. I have been working with Mark Gill, we've figured about 4 years now.
Probably 3.5.
3.5,
Yeah.
and been fortunate enough to do a variety of really cool programs for our clients. And these guys came all the way from California, which I think is awesome that they would make this trip. And it just goes to show you that networking is a great thing, and partnering with not just your local media, but your other media points across the country. You can benefit so much. You can learn from them. We've had great friendship talks and things over the past. I look forward to doing that more with Chase over the course of the time while they're here to spend with us. Instead of me giving you their I don't know if you want to call it the resume, I'm going to just let them speak what they want you to know, and some fun personal tip or things that you enjoy. So please give a warm welcome, Northeast Tennessee welcome to Chase and Mark Gill.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Chapter, and our partners at Creative Energy. We're really excited to be here. Mark's been talking about coming out here for a while now, and so we're excited we can make the trip. A little bit about myself. I've been in sales and marketing for about 10 years. I started out doing B2B in Washington, D.C., and then I did some tech product launching out on the West Coast, some experiential marketing, I think we would call that, in Guerrilla. And then I've been at Pandora for about 4 years, most recently in a sales management role, and we work with anywhere from mid-market to Fortune 500 companies, from the Appalachians to the Front Range on my team. And before that at Pandora, I was actually an account representative in the political vertical, working with the GOP, the DNC, and down ballot races. That's a little bit of background about me. Tidbit. I don't know. I really like music, and it's going to be part of this conversation we're going to have right now.
Yeah.
I'll let Mark introduce himself.
For sure. Really excited to be here. Teresa and I, like she mentioned, have been working together for quite a while now. It's been a great partnership. Pandora in itself, working there, it's awesome. We have a large audience and just a lot of great product offerings and targeting. Background for me, I've been selling digital media, mostly online, for the past 6, coming up on 7 years. Working at Pandora, I've gotten to dive into a little bit more of like broadcast terminology and kind of just how we stack up against local radio stations and things like that. So yeah, really excited to meet all of you guys later this afternoon. And tidbit about myself. This is a weird one, but I have web feet. So, there you go. But yeah, looking forward to meeting with all you guys later this afternoon. So thanks for having us, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark. So I'll start off now by just kind of speaking to 3 trends and 3 truths that we face as marketers. We're facing a lot of complex challenges these days. Mass media is no longer the key to generating awareness that it once was. And as marketers, you have greater accountability to prove your ROI, and you have thousands of different ways to buy and measure your spends. So today we're going to share a little bit about how Pandora can help you as marketers win the war for attention. Start out with trend number 1, which is the attention economy. You have 8 seconds to grab someone's attention as a marketer. That's down from 12 seconds just in 2000. Does anyone know the attention span of a goldfish? 9 seconds. Yeah, exactly. So it says a little bit about us these days. But that's all you have really to grab people's attention in the connected world we live in. The second trend is show me you know me. Personalization has really transformed people's expectations of everything. It's very driven by technology. Mobile phones, people staring, they're gonna get neck cramps. That gets me to trend number 3, which is the sonic boom. You use public transportation, or you walk around on the campus of Eastern Tennessee State, you're gonna see the majority of people have headphones on. Those white little earbuds walking around. We live in the San Francisco, Oakland area, and You can't make eye contact with anyone on public transportation. Everyone's just down, headphones on. And say what you will about the state of people when that's the truth, but it is what it is. So 3 things that we know to be true. Truth number 1, this is from eMarketer, July this year. Digital as unseated TV is time spent, and that's been driven by mobile consumption. Truth number 2, 75% of people say music is their top choice for entertainment. This is from Nielsen last year. And truth number 3, music is really a universal language. It's a passion point where people connect with the music they love, and music's there for all of life's moments, big and small. Share a little personal story that kind of touched my heart a little bit earlier this summer. As I was in Colorado, I went to go see one of my friend's bands. They were playing at Red Rocks. It was a really big deal for him and his family, and his father was there. His father had just gotten through with chemotherapy, and he had lung cancer, and I'm catching up with him. I hadn't seen him in about a year, and he just out of the blue said to me, he's like, I know you work at Pandora, and I just wanted to say that music, that Beatles station really got me through like those long days when I just, wanted something to just listen to and keep in the background. And if you think about the moments in your life, you think about like your first kiss, you think about prom, those are things that there's always going to be music in the background. It's a very big passion point. So how can Pandora help you win in this environment? We pioneered personal music. We've been around for 10 years now, and we're one of the leaders in mobile and mobility. So there's 4 different ways. We're an audience play. We have over 80 million monthly unique users just in the US. Their average time spent listening is over 20 minutes per month. Data-driven marketing, 10 years of doing this has given us so many data points, not just in the user interactions, but where people are listening, what devices they're listening on. So our data is our strategic advantage, and we want to make that marketer's advantage too. And the power of audio in a connected world, and the earbud generation, as they call it. Audio can be the killer ad. You can really cut through that clutter. And then attention-based media solutions. Gone are the days when you can really expect to just buy digital on a network basis and don't know where it's going. It can be below the fold. It's competing with other advertisers all over the page. We've really made it our business to have highly viewable and effective ads. Almost all of our ads serve off of interaction. They're all 100% share of screen. There's no below the fold. So I'll talk about the first thing, audience play. So we have 84 million monthly unique visitors over 13. 1.1 billion thumb interactions, but we have 1 billion interactions a day. So we have 1.1 million just people thumbing up or thumbing down every month, but with skipping, change stations, we have over 1 billion per day. And then 1.8 billion monthly hours streamed. These numbers are just from July. So we can leverage all that with music to reach people on a massive scale. We have 84 million monthly listeners in the US. We have about 65,000 in the Tri-City area. This is from the Infinite Dial of this year from Edison. 1/3 of the US has listened to Pandora the past month. That's for adults 13 and over. Big scale. This is something most people don't realize, but we're #1 in mobile time spent. People average over 20 minutes per month with us. Now, if you combine Facebook and Google's different properties together, I won't lie, they do beat us, but as a standalone mobile property, as a standalone app, we are crushing the competition in time spent. And if you think about that, it just makes sense. People listen to music. It's a very passive thing to do. You kind of just
21 hours.
21 hours, 20 minutes, sorry. Yes. My fault. 21 hours. It's a big deal. And that engagement drives time spent. We also, we introduced a ubiquity strategy about 5 years ago. We knew we wanted to be in every device. I've already had a conversation about this. We need to get on the Amazon Echo device, or better. But we've got over 1,800 connected devices, over 190 car models. We opened an office in Detroit 7 years ago. Since 2015, we've been in every single new car model that's manufactured in the US. We want to be everywhere that people are because people listen differently now. You're not just listening to music in the car, you're not just listening in the jukebox, you're listening when you're working out, you're listening when you're commuting, when you're making dinner in the house. There's a Samsung TVs with Pandora, there's a refrigerator with Pandora. I've never seen it, but I've heard a lot about it.
It's there somewhere.
It's there somewhere. So that's the audience play, data driven. So our strategic advantage is our data. We have this massive audience with scale that interacts with the app all day long. So with that scale, having 1 billion data points daily, and when you can layer that on with declared data like people's age, gender, location, along with their lifestyles and interests and audience segmentation, that culminates in a big advantage of knowing what people want, where they are, and when they want it. We also have one of the largest logged in user bases in the country. So not only do we know what people's data is that they declare, but when they're within our app, that's another strategic advantage because we can layer on that first party data that they give us with third party data. We always hear this question, when are you guys going to do GPS location and follow people who are in their phones? That is something we do experiment on, and we do all these experiments. We have data scientists who will basically carve off like 1% of listeners and start doing that. But what we find is, especially with the younger generation, is they are very prone to turn that location service off. And it's also like, if you think about what's more valuable, where people are telling you they are or following them. And it's kind of a privacy issue too. We have Triton, who does our digital measurement along with iHeart and Spotify. They basically, for all of these different services, they monthly will look at a DMA level. And right now, every month, they will say if you're outside the DMA more than 1 hour a month of listening, then we will send people a notification to voluntarily change their registration data. But again, it comes back to us as like a privacy issue. And also the feeling is that people are much more likely to voluntarily give information that's correct than for us to intrude in them. And so I think the industry is going away where we will have people now when they register opt in to that and say, do you want to turn location services on? I think that's already happening. But right now, when we have this first party data and we can layer it on with third party data and segments, it really gives us a lot of scale. So I talk a lot about interactions. This is our a highly engaged listener's average hour. You'll see there in blue, those are the audio ads that serve about every 15 minutes. Those are the only ad product we have that do not require any interaction. But in between that is when people are being served. They pause the music. They're immediately served a mobile display banner. You always ask the question, well, why am I buying display on mobile if people's phones are in their pocket? Well, if people's phones are in their pocket, they're not getting served any ads. Someone has to have the app in front of them and engage with it to be served a new display app. Our video products only serve when people skip a song or change stations. So it's a highly engaged interaction. So our average listener does 11 engagements per hour, an average session. What does all this data allow us to do? It allows us to identify with key audiences. So we have over 1,000 proprietary and third-party segments. We target by demographic. Hispanics and African Americans are a huge audience for us. Purchase behaviors, CPG, political affiliation, something I used to be intimately involved with. We're bringing, from our political targeting alone, we're looking right now that we'll be bringing in the third most digital revenue behind Facebook and Google. Listening preferences, what people want to listen to. Lifestyle. We know if you're newly single. We know if you chew Wrigley's gum. We know if you buy A1 steak sauce. Scary, right?
And these are all things that you can layer on top of like the standard age, gender, and
Right.
location targeting. You know, we incorporate things like that into all the campaigns, whether it's like you're focusing on a state or a DMA. You have the age, gender, location targeting, and then these are ways to kind of layer in to your campaign to further drive home the target audience that you're looking to reach.
So if we want to reach a millennial mom who's on mobile, who lives in Johnson City, who shops at Walmart, and who buys Frito-Lay products, we can just layer on, and we can do that at scale because we have such a large audience. This is a good example persona of a mobile mom. So there's declared data. We know that she's female, she's 39, she lives in Orlando. Listener interaction, so we know what she's listening to, when, what device she's listening to. Identity, so these are segments. So we have proprietary targeting, which was basically based off of the interaction and the declared data. But then we also have segments that use lookalike modeling. So, you know, Axiom and all these third parties that know your bank numbers, where you shop, when you shop. We layer those on top for these audience segments. And this would be, you know, a mobile mom targeting for a CPG brand, excuse me. So how do we reach all these people? How do we engage with them? You know, what we think is the killer ad, and this is just what I always like to lead with, audio. Audio is a medium that is just catching up to digital, but something we've been doing for a long time now. You know, it's the most powerful way to tell stories. I wouldn't be giving much of a presentation if I wasn't speaking right now. You know, and we offer it in a premium environment. It's uncluttered. The audience is tuned in and receptive. I'm going to give an example right now of like a great best practices audio. This is from Lyft, which is not in Johnson City yet.
We just discovered
that this morning.
We have Uber though.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we
We're
took
partnered with Uber.
Yeah, we just got Uber.
Yeah.
That's new?
Yeah.
Yeah, we took it this morning.
I got the guy's card. I got Patrick's card. So we'll take us to the airport. But here's a great audio that this is as best practices. So just listen here for 1 second.
Hey Pandora listener, make your commute more about jamming out and less about traffic jams. Try Lyft, the ride-sharing app taking the monotony out of the daily commute, one ride at a time. Download and take your first ride today.
Back to music. So one of the best practices here, they address the individual listener. Hey Pandora listener, hey mom, hey millennial, like hey voter. Most of the ads will start with some sort of address. Because it's all served on a one-to-one basis. We're not speaking one-to-many like broadcast. This is a unicast environment. It's one-to-one. It's a casual tone. It doesn't seem out of place from the experience they're already having with music. It's very casual, it's conversational. The tone is very soft, and it's less likely a hard sell. You're like, hey, this is pretty great. You know, why don't you take action, download this, and start using it?
Yeah, you don't have to like drive home like a phone number the entire time or keep visiting like this
Sale.
Yeah, and you just have a quick call to action at the end. Click the banner now for X.
Yeah, it's concise, and you know, as we said, like you only have 8 seconds to get someone's attention. And it has a clear call to action. You know, you want to always say, click on the banner now, or click here to download, click here to find your nearest location. And what we have is that you get the resonation of that audio ad, but then we're going to be able to track it digitally. So every time an audio ad is served, a 500 by 500 tile takes over the screen. That's what this photo is here. And so when the audio is ending with click on this banner, we can either send them straight to your website, or maybe it's a unique mobile landing page, maybe it's a map of the closest locations that you have. Sometimes it's a coupon. And then we can track, you know, the engagement levels that you have and send you reporting on that. So some of the other attention-based media solutions that we have. We talked a lot about audio and display. These are top of the funnel, really capture attention. You know, we want to capture attention, drive time spent. But then we have, you know, a little bit further down the funnel, start a conversation. Sponsored listening, Amplified Digital is another product that we just started. It's sponsored video, so you can ask, and you probably see this if you guys watch videos online like Netflix and Hulu. You can engage with a brand for 15 seconds, and so you get them to engage with that ad. You can like press yes, I like this, no, I don't, and that kind of high engagement, and then the person will not get served ads for the next hour. That's another video product that we've been seeing a lot of lately. Then we have time spent. So these are like brand stations. We have mixtapes and brand stations where advertisers can choose 100, 200 songs at a time, where you're by station drivers that will have audio ads or display ads, but then when people interact with them, it generates the station, and it drives time spent. And then you have 100% share of voice within the station. It's all ads. They still serve at the same timing, off of interaction and audio every 15 minutes. And then you can get metrics on time spent, number of station ads, and these things actually live infinitely. So if you buy like a brand station or a mixtape, you can promote it with the station drivers that you purchase for say 3 months, but then after those 3 months, that station still lives in that tuner infinitely of the listener. So if you want it 3 months later, turn it back on, you can just flip it back on. So this is from a Millward Brown study from last year. It tested 20,000 campaigns that just had audio, and then 20,000 campaigns that had either audio with display or video with display. These numbers look big, and you think about the way that people are served ads on Pandora. You having the biggest reach with the audio product because that's serving every 15 minutes, but then it's those highly engaged listeners that are taking actions in between the audio ads that are really highly targeted and are spending more time with your brand. So just wanted to review some digital audio numbers because there were some questions about some of the stuff here. All the competitors out there. So these are from the share of ear study. Is everyone familiar with the Edison share of ear study? They do this about twice a year with radio. There's a Cumulus presentation I've been seeing about this floating around. So this is addressable audience, and something I'll get into on the next slide too. But Pandora One, we were just talking about this earlier, Eric, is that we're driven by revenue, for advertising revenue. Excuse me, everyone's driven by revenue. But we encourage people to have the free ad-supported version because that's what pays our licensing fees more effectively for the music and the content. So 95% of our listeners have the free ad-supported version. We have 5% that get Pandora One. We're coming out with some new products in the next couple months that are probably going to change that. But Spotify, conversely, they want people to pay. They want people not to get served ads because that's the product. So we have kind of different revenue models. We're more lean back, more lean in. Then this has iHeart here too, and other streamers, Apple Music. I expect that's going to grow too for them. This is a Nielsen Scarborough rating for radio speak, folks. This is just from the second release of this year. This is market reach in Atlanta. Look at some of these key demos of women 25 to 54, 18 to 34, and you look at adults 18 plus. With other streamers, audio streamers, we're doubling up on the rest of the audience. I've got Spotify here, so this is US based. So monthly listeners, millennials, but this is the key statistic here: is listeners reach through ads at the addressable audience.
And whether Spotify, like in their media kit or they're talking about the potential advertiser, they're going to talk about their global listenership. Pandora is only available in the U.S., Australia, and New Zealand, and what we sell in our media decks like this is 84 million is strictly the U.S. So sometimes people don't take that into consideration that Spotify is global. So sometimes their numbers can look higher, but then if you actually look at it U.S., it's we're the clear leaders there.
So this is the addressable audience. So if you're to get a media plan from Mark Gill, it's not only going to have the impressions that you're buying, but we're not really buying off impressions anymore. We're buying off of listeners that we're reaching. We want to reach uniques. I don't want to serve 100,000 impressions to a single person. So what we do now is the way that we're selling Pandora and that it's being bought is off of that addressable audience. So if you say you want to target adults 25 to 54 in the Tri-Cities area over 4 weeks, we're going to tell you exactly how many unique listeners you're reaching every week and how many times each week, that frequency. So we do use something called a share of voice, which is like a saturation measurement of your total volume for all the ads that are going to be served to that audience during the length. But we also want to be able to tell people like exactly how many uniques, 25, 54, how many times we're reaching them, and what that percentage of market reach is of the overall of the whole. So I've talked about the 3 trends and 3 truths. How Pandora can help you win. We're an audience play. We're data-driven. We're the power of audio and our attention-based media solutions. Thank you. And I'll leave you. I'm going to leave you with one last stat. So we know Pandora works because last year in 2015, we don't know yet for 2016, but 84% of our revenue. And we did over $1 billion in revenue last year. 84% of that was repeat clients. And a lot of that is led by our local efforts in the 20 to 60 top markets. That is where the majority of our revenue is coming from right now. And from great partners like Mark Gill here in Creative Energy. So I think that being on the other side, that always spoke to me more is coming back. And our job is to keep our product fresh. We just released a whole new brand yesterday. Didn't have time to implement it into this presentation, but if you download the new Pandora, it's pretty flashy and cool. And then always staying ahead of the curve with the actual ad products that we have. We always have, all of our products have always served off interaction, but we're big on viewability because we have logged in users and only one ad served at a time. And those kind of efforts to stay ahead of the curve, I think, are what bring our partners back and keep utilizing us.
And if you want to go back to the last slide, just to elaborate on what addressable audience is basically this is saying that 37% of Spotify's audience pay for the subscription, so they don't hear ads at all. So 63% of their audience is actually addressable by advertisements, whereas Pandora, only 5% of ours pay for ad-free listening. So 95% of our audience is completely addressable by your advertisements, which is a really important piece. The numbers, the unique listeners look great, but you really have to take into consideration how many of those people are actually addressable by an advertisement. So.
Right, and these numbers. These numbers are, they're good. They don't stand out as much as this, and this is from Nielsen Scarborough, very trusted measurement source, and this is reachable audience and market reach.
Yeah.
Hey, Chase, what day part is that when you measure that online music space? Is that running 6 a.m. to midnight? Is that running?
Yes,
6 a.m. to 7. I mean, can you kind of elaborate a little bit on, where this market reach, how you come up with that?
Yeah, so these are all based on 12A to 12A.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and we have the ability to show, reach numbers, obviously, if we're doing 6A to 5P or anything like that. But yeah, these numbers are based off of just an all-day part.
So yeah, and we can day part in addition to all of the other targeting. I would always tell my client partners when they ask to day part, you need to have a good reason to, because the ads only serve to listeners who are engaged in the app. So if you're reaching someone, regardless if they're on, it's 1 in the morning or if it's 6 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, it's important that you're reaching them, maybe not the time. There's QSRs, CPG, there's definitely some clients that want it and it makes sense to. But this number is, from 12 to 12.
Yeah, so we could open it up to any questions that you guys have right now, and we'll be happy to answer.
Do you have any interesting data points for people who listen to a specific type of music and then the products they buy or other?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of the political targeting. So our first iteration of political targeting, which is during right before the midterm cycle, is we basically take the results from the previous election. So we're taking 2012 results, looking at the zip code and which zip code swayed towards which candidate, and then we overlay that with music listening habits, like whether you're whether you're listening to rap versus the Beatles versus like hillbilly rock, and that's how that's the basic way that was modeled. Now, for instance, that has like voter registration data over it. But the music you're listening to is like the very first kind of segmentation that happens, especially in the proprietary segments. You want to know what you are, right?
Right.
Everybody always asks that. I can't tell you that. I asked one of the scientists, but we do model these on an actual individual listener basis, but when we want to do target those individuals, it's usually in buckets, say like 100 listeners at a time in a given zip.
Are there any generalities about the person who would pay for Pandora 1 versus someone who would not? I mean, is that person or the person who would keep the advertising, or is that person more likely to buy a certain product, or is that better for brand affinity, or?
So the biggest demo for driving the paid subscription for both Spotify and us is the 21 to 29 segment. That seems to be really the sweet spot. Teenagers aren't paying for anything, and just like my friend's dad, who's in his mid-50s, and I was like, oh, you're laying in bed and you're getting served ads? He was like, I don't care about the ads, like I don't want to pay for it. So it's those generalities are exactly what you would think. The people who are listening to music maybe 50 hours a month are definitely paying for it. But the average listener who is just using this as something that kind of fills in their days between the different activities is much more apt to have the free version. And that's why really up until this year we had kept our model as the way it was, but now in the way the industry is trending with the music labels, they really want people to be paying for any service, and so we've been reconciling with them. We just signed with the 4 major labels last month, and a big part of that was having like a mid-tier $5 price point, and so that just launched like within the past week, and that's going to be, I think, a big indicator to see if we can get people in the younger and the over 30 demos to adapt to that or not. We really just don't know yet. But it is the generalities that you would think of, like, okay, who's gonna pony up, $10 a month, which isn't an insignificant amount of money over the course of a year. Yes.
Just kind of ripping off of what Teresa said, I'm curious to know, not that you would buy based on day parts or time of day, but I'm just curious to know in terms of the interactions, what does that curve look like in total interactions? Is it like a cut level or something like that if you look at a traditional broadcast?
So we actually, all of this is forecasted based off of individual listener when you buy, and the numbers are generated by all this, basically it's off of 10 years of data. That does take into account like the individual listener's actions, say from 2 to 6 p.m. In general though, we see the highest listening does happen from like 9 to 6, and then it drops down, and then after 9 o'clock it picks up again, and then it is lower on the weekends than it is Monday through Friday. That's across all demos. That's
986p?
Yeah, 9 to 6p is the highest listening hours we have, and that's where most of the interactions are happening. We see over 80% of our listening on mobile, but the largest portion that we have on web is definitely from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. When people are kind of have their head down at their desk. I know a lot of people will get Pandora blocked now at work, along with like Facebook and other services.
It's a shame.
And my emails are going to spam to those people too. But for the web product, what we did several years ago to kind of counteract that, because people would have it minimized in their browser while they're doing other work. So if you are listening on the web for 40 minutes, and you're still getting served the audio ads, but if you haven't interacted with the platform after 40 minutes, the music will stop, and you have to open it back up. It says, are you still listening? You click yes, and then you're immediately served a video ad, which is another like high engagement point.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious. I know you wouldn't buy on that. I'm just curious, the general use, just kind of trying to understand.
Yeah.
Another question that you guys as a company, what are you guys doing in terms of connecting with social media, trying to get somebody to turn on Pandora that may not be, or just as the marketing of Pandora itself to users?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our listener growth has definitely tabled off, I would say, considering the 4 years I've been there. We started when I started 4 years ago, we were at like 60 million, and we got to 75 million like 2 years later. And so now we're kind of seeing that plateau in the US. What we do now is more, in the past year, I'd say, do a lot of like outside the box marketing, where we're buying more TV ourselves. We're actually hiring creative agency to make TV commercials. We're advertising on YouTube. A lot of that is focused towards the teen demographic though. Mark will tell you that it's very great to sell Pandora because rarely do you talk to anybody that doesn't know who we are. So I think that in terms of like growing our listener base, I don't see a domestic US listener base for any service getting really over 100 million a month. We have over 250 million registered users. It's something that iHeart likes to talk to all the time. They have over 100 million registered users, but those people aren't listening. It's the monthly actives that really speak to it.
You can download the app and then delete it the next day. That's a registration, but it's not important to us if they're not engaging continuously.
And when you look at that stat that we have here, there's a third of the US is listening once a month. That's 13 and over. And I think that actually is probably where am I going here? Like that from the share of ear is obviously based off of a survey that they do. But I mean, I wouldn't see it ever getting higher than that, just because of people's like the music industry trends, how much people spend on music and tickets. If the younger demo keeps growing the way it does, maybe. But I think that's why we're thinking about, we are going to expand internationally over the next couple of years.
But I mean, bigger isn't necessarily, it's also increasing frequency of listenership, right?
Right.
And we do a ton of stuff, around like push notifications or emails, or even like suggested posts on Facebook, like, hey, if we see a listener who hasn't been around in a while, we can kind of try to get them back on board with, hey, we just added this new station, I think you would like this, and you can swipe like a push notification, it'll get Pandora up and launching again. So yeah, we do a ton of stuff in terms of marketing or just pushing people to come back to Pandora if we've noticed they've been away for a while.
Yeah, that's definitely our greater focus, is the people who have already registered with us, because we want to drive time spent, and that's what we continue to, like when we had 75 million listeners, the time spent was only 18 hours a month or something, and now it's up over 21, and obviously that allows us to serve more ads, but the more people spend time with our brand, I think is the better indicator.
Yeah. And you'll see a big, huge advertising push for us in
Next
November and December. Yeah, we have a big paid media campaign going out to drive new users and just keep the brand going through our existing users. So,
So since you said that, can you share, is that through ad targeting? Is that through traditional media?
Yeah.
Is it through some Facebook?
Everything.
we're doing a ton. Yeah, they just went through it in our company meeting on Thursday, and it is a lot.
It's gonna be everything.
Yeah, I think we're shying away. So I don't know if did anybody see the TV ads that we did? They're pretty like emotional, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think we're
Next
shying away from that. It was more about like the Pandora feel. We're gonna do a lot more of like direct response marketing, paid advertising just on various different sites. I think we are going to do a little bit of TV, but a lot of it is going to be around direct response and getting people to directly install the application itself. So
are you all doing anything in boots on the ground, like festivals or events? I mean, you know, I was
Yeah.
at Texas A&M this past weekend, and I mean, there were tons of vendors and you know, national folks
Yeah.
that had their tents up, that
For
would
sure.
play games, get people to interact with them, to bring up.
Yeah.
yeah, we have
So are you all doing
we have a
any of
whole
those
team,
kinds of-
yeah, dedicated to those sorts of things. So
We purchased the second largest ticketing company in the country last year, Ticketfly. They basically do 50 music venues around the country, and they're always signing more. They're kind of Ticketmaster's thorn in their side, and they're also local to the Bay. But with that is we put on events twice a month in different cities that are like experiential marketing centered around having artists come in.
we always have a huge
We
booth
did
at
one in
South by Southwest, for
We
example.
did one in Nashville last
Yeah.
year. We do have like a music de noche in Las Vegas next month. Yeah, we do a lot of that, but I wouldn't say it's to the degree that it's that it could be. I think, you know, we're also in that regard. We've only really started doing that stuff within the past 18 months, so I think it'll continue though.
We talked a little bit about the new logo that came out yesterday. Is that just a general refresh, or is that a push to attract a different demographic?
It's our first rebrand in 11 years, and I think it is to definitely just refresh the look of it, to make it less static, but also because we're coming out with, like, basically we're gonna have 3 tiers of product now between the radio service, the Pandora Plus service, which is like the juiced up radio service, and then Pandora One, is that we want something that can go across all those mediums. And you know, it's kind of just to get out ahead of being static, I think. So this new brand will, like, whatever music's playing, it's gonna be changing. Like, it's gonna be totally fluid.
Yeah,
Different
the whole
colors.
the whole UI is going to be like
Yeah, it's gonna be
completely redone.
pretty different. And I think it was part of the sales marketing effort of just staying fresh and just getting a new look out there, because we've got so many different things coming out.
Yeah, on demand and all that stuff coming in the near future. So we want to.
I'm sick of blue. Mark loves blue, but I'm sick of it, right?
Blue?
Yeah.
It's my favorite color, man.
You have input on that?
You designed it. Yes,
Are
Wendy.
there minimums attached to ad placement, and if so, what are they?
Well, so we do ask for a minimum advertising. So we ask for a minimum of $5,000 for an insertion order, but
Gentlemen, you Pandora app and it's going nuts right now. Sorry about that.
you know, depending on the advertiser, that will sometimes get spent in a week, but sometimes it'll take, you know, almost 3 months. It's basically based off of the audience size, where we want to be able to have a healthy frequency, which for audio, you know, is anywhere from 3 to 4. But if we're looking at like digital and banners, that's, you know, maybe over 10 to 12. So it's kind of a formula that we have, is that, and I think it has a lot to do with the renewals. Is it a hard and fast? No, but it is the encouraged. Some people are definitely harder than others, but it's kind of, that's why we're very, you know, that's why Gill and I exist really in our jobs, and we don't have an on-demand self-service platform, because it is not like, the audience is so big and we customize campaigns so much that it
Yeah.
really requires like that human touch.
You have to make that recommendation on how to effectively saturate X market. So, you know, obviously, if you're going to do a statewide campaign, $5,000 might not last there. But hey, if you're targeting, you know, a 5-mile radius around a hair salon, you know, that might work out then.
That
So.
might last 4 months or something.
And that's really the beauty of our platform, is that we can work with local, we can work with regional, we can do statewide campaigns, and then obviously, you know, the big brand McDonald's and Walmart's and everything like that. But I think us being able to dive in and compete with radio at a local level has been really a big advantage for us. So, yeah.
Yes.
Are you all able to identify the listening habits of certain occupations?
Yes. We actually have Mark's got a client, General Dynamics in DC, that we can basically do government contractors. We can know if someone's in HR or if they're a decision maker
Yeah, so for them we do
they're C-level.
IT decision makers.
You know,
So-
all the data that we have available, these 1,000 segments, like that is, you know, you think about something like LinkedIn, which is great, but then you think about like Axiom, all these third-party vendors, like that's what this data is layered in on. We're not using it, we're not using only our own. The proprietary segments have that layered on, but we're taking all of these and kind of putting another level on top of it. So I think there's HR, there's
We can do small business owners. We can do executives, so C-suite executives. We can do job seekers. So that's like I work with a staffing company, and they're obviously looking for people that are in the market for a new job. So we can do job seekers. We can do accounting professionals, finance professionals. So yeah, we have, as long as we have a big enough pool to work with, and it's usually at like the DMA or MSA level, we can usually incorporate some of those work-related segments. So.
B2B is getting bigger for us. Yeah, it's definitely gotten a larger part of the inquiries we're getting, for sure. Yes?
So can you only pull that information from their profiles, or can you pull information through what they're searching online and things like that?
Oh, it's everything. Everything you're doing online.
So like
And offline.
travel and tourism and stuff like that. So you could look at, like if people were looking at visiting places. Or
Yep. We can do destination travelers, frequent travelers,
frequent cruise travelers,
family travelers,
family road trippers, all of that. You know, the key though is that, and this is kind of the way that the marketing side of it's been going, and you see this with Facebook's having problems with this. They've been losing a very small portion of ad spend compared to what they're getting, but when you get so segmented and you get so granular, you really miss out on your reach and the scale. So that's why we always try to diversify the campaign's products, where you can get really granular with like the display products and some of the video, but then also making sure that you're just targeting like off of market and demo as well. So you're not just getting 5 people like over and over again. But that's the beautiful thing about it, is you can actually know how many people you're going to reach, and but sometimes maybe you don't want to spend $10,000 to reach 2,000 people. So you kind of want to diversify the product mix a little bit.
Yeah, and the main way that we're doing that is again based off of our declared information, which is your email address, your age, gender, and location. So that's the first part, and then we match it with Datalogix, Newstar, Axiom, all these third-party data companies. They take our entire database, match it with stuff that they have on on their end, and then provide it back to us and say, hey, this group of people is, we notice that they are leisure travelers or business travelers or things like that. So,
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Political stuff is really crazy. When we basically data match your voter file over your profile on Pandora, we can know your propensity to vote, where you voted, and which way you voted.
It's all very creepy.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's kind of beyond us, because we are salespeople. We're not doing this.
Like, you're not tracking the location. I'm like, we're tracking people. We're definitely tracking people. Okay, yeah. Let people declare something themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was somebody. Is the next question?
I was just gonna ask if you've ever had a client come to you, kind of not really knowing what they wanted to do, just that they wanted to advertise, and that you actually told them traditional radio would be better than Pandora.
Yeah, I mean that's
Never.
also part of the we say no to people. I mean that's part of the reason that we are like invested so much in a large sales force. We have over 500 salespeople throughout the country in different verticals and markets. And I think if it doesn't make sense for us, we're not going to do it, because we, on our end, you're investing money, but so are we in time. So we do say no to some people, but
not radio buyers though.
Yeah, no, not really.
It would be different than if it's a I don't know, a really small company and they're marketing
$500.
They do Facebook and they send out some like mailers, that type of thing. If they're not even testing the waters with terrestrial radio or TV or things like that, it might not be the best fit, just because the minimums and our CPMs and things like that. But I always say, if you're doing radio, then it's kind of a no-brainer to test out Pandora, just because of the delivery. The delivery of the ads is guaranteed. You can target it. It's not estimated. You don't buy a certain radio station to hit a certain demo. We kind of do it the other way around. You say, hey, I want to reach 18 to 34-year-olds in the Tri-Cities market, and we can guarantee that only those people are going to reach it. So, in terms of the conversation with radio, I always try to get them to go the Pandora
I haven't been
way.
selling in a while, obviously.
and it all comes down to the reach too. I mean, if you take a look at the weekly queue for Pandora for Tri-Cities, and you go look at the terrestrial top radio station, we're either going to be above it or right there with it. So, yeah.
So let's have a client locally that wants to spend $2,000 a month on ads, and they're spending all that on Facebook. What would you tell them that separates you from Facebook?
Separate us from Facebook.
Like I see all the stuff that you mentioned, but
yeah, I'd say that the power.
Choose you guys?
Yeah, but I'd say the power of the advertisements and time spent listening. A display ad on Facebook, I think it can be effective. There's not a lot of attention grabbing there. I think an audio commercial is a great way to do that. Really, hey, Pandora listener, we have this for you. We also pair it with banners. So I think there's a lot more that goes into our product than Facebook. I think Facebook is definitely an important piece to have of your overall marketing strategy. But I'd say in terms of the products, ours are definitely a little bit more amplified. I would look at things like click-through rates, compare our average click-through rates to Facebook. I don't know exactly what Facebook's are, but I know that some of ours can be upwards of like 10 times higher than industry standards. And I think that really does have to do with the fact that we have that combination of radio and display together. The radio spot can grab the attention, and then the display banner to drive the traffic and capture the leads or whatever you guys are trying to do. So, and then also look at reach. I mean, how many people are you reaching on Facebook? How many people are you reaching on Pandora? So that'd be kind of my spiel there. But it would go a lot more into just presenting a plan and my recommendation, and going from there.